Greetings, Earth Stars. Eliane Nicole here, your astrologer and tarot reader. And now I am going to I'm going to just do a little cosmic quickie, talk about some of the astrology going on. I didn't have time to write about Mercury being retrograde, or I wrote about it being retrograde, but I haven't had time to write since it went direct yesterday, Wednesday, January 18th. Mercury went direct in Capricorn. And as you know, if you follow me, all Mercury retrogrades are not created equal. Mercuries have a different personality depending on the sign they're in. I mean, there's certain strands of Mercury retrograde that run through them all, like technical difficulties, cancellations or postponements or changes in plans, exes floating in sometimes or people from the past. But Mercury retrograde in Capricorn really had a lot to do with our work and our finances and the structures in our life, the institutions that we deal with, authority figures possibly that we deal with, establishments that we deal with, as well as old people sometimes is ruled by Capricorn. And so this Mercury retrograde was really characterized by reviews and reflections around those topics. But what made this Mercury retrograde, I think, even more intensely felt for many is that Mars was also retrograde at the same time. And Mars had been retrograde since the end of October, around Halloween. And he just stationed to turn direct on January 12th or 13th. And when I say turn direct and retrograde, we as astrologers know that the planets aren't really going backwards. This is a term that's used to describe the appearance of the planets seeming to go backwards from our geocentric perspective. It just has to do with speeds. However, the appearance of the backward motion has a divinatory meaning in astrology, which is why we talk about it. And Mercury retrograde is very common. It happens 3 or 4 times a year. It's a natural part of our communication and learning and processing of information cycles. It's very natural. It's kind of a myth that it's just like all about upheaval. It's upheaval if you're fighting against the grain of what the time is meant for. But if you're using the Mercury retrograde period for the kinds of things that Mercury retrograde is there for, it can actually be, a safe haven for you to take care of certain kinds of work and certain kind of projects that you know will be protected under that energy. Which is why it would be so great for us to get more in sync with the planets culturally, to all kind of be in line with that. But anyway, I digress. Mars has also been retrograde in Gemini, which is a much longer story. Mars only goes retrograde every couple of years, so it can be a lot more impactful. But just like all Mercury retrogrades aren't created equal, all Mars retrogrades aren't created equal either. And this particular Mars retrograde, because it was in Gemini, had a very Mercury retrograde feel to it, but like Mercury retrograde on steroids, because it had the fight and the speed and the edge of Mars, god of war, struggle, conflict, strife. So the Mars retrograde period for a lot of people was about, rewriting. For some people it was literally rewriting or editing things that they were working on, but for some it was more metaphorically, like rewriting your life, rewriting a certain area of your life. For some people it had to do with cutting ties. It could have to do with arguments. It could have to do with debates. It could have to do with fighting words. All of that is very Mars retrograde in Gemini stuff. Sibling rivalry or rivalries of any kind, competitions, duality, all of those types of things. So Mars stationed at 8 degrees on January 12th, 13th. Mercury stationed at 8 degrees in Gemini today. So, and Mercury stationed in Capricorn, Mars stationed in Gemini. So basically they're both at 8 degrees. And so they're forming what's called a quincunx, which is kind of an irritating aspect. They can't really see each other, but they're rubbing up against each other in a way that's like as if like a mosquito that you can't see is biting you. And it's like And so an adjustment needs to be made, between the area of our chart ruled by Capricorn and the area of our chart ruled by Gemini. And the fact that the two planets are holding their position is showing that it's bringing our attention to this adjustment needs to be made, particularly if you have a planet anywhere in the 7 to 10 degrees, like 8 degrees, 9 degrees, So that's going on. At the same time as that is happening, and so Mars stationing, it's like, okay, we know the way forward, but when the planets appear to start moving, the speed will pick up. So we're still maybe in a bit of a standstill now, even though it's like the motion, the direction, the focus is like, okay, we're moving forward now. And so don't be frustrated if you're not noticing the pace immediately picking up. It may take until February. Also happening right now, Pluto is conjunct the Sun in Capricorn, and this is in the last degrees of Capricorn, 28, 29. So if you are a person who has any planets in those last degrees of your chart, this one is going to be personal to you. This is shining a light on shadowy topics. It's shining a light on things like death, grief, despair, secrets, things that have been buried beneath the surface that are coming up to be looked at and dealt with now. Sometimes Pluto conjunct the Sun can have to do with the death of powerful people, powerful figures. Sometimes it can have to do with the death of solar figures like fathers or bosses or political leaders or, things like that. And sometimes it can bring, a major catharsis. Sometimes it can be as literal or mundane as like a pimple that's coming up to explode. And those are kind of those Plutonian topics, very dark underworld kind of things. And the Sun is bringing light to that. And this is one of the last Pluto-Sun conjunctions during Pluto being in Capricorn. So it's like, this is the second to last one. I think we have one more in January or February of 2024. But this is basically like, these are the final milestones in a transformation that's likely been going on in your life since 2008 in that Capricorn house of your chart. And again, it's more personal if you have planets at the exact degrees. The energy is happening though, regardless if it's personal to you or not. We're all living within it. And so we'll see it in the world stage. We'll feel it out on the streets in public, people around us. Like, at different times it becomes more personal for each of us, but we're all dealing with the same energetic currents. And at the same time, we're also in the balsamic moon of Capricorn, which is the dark moon before the new moon. And so that can be very depressing. And, people can feel withdrawn, tired, low energy. Attracted to darker art, darker music, darker topics. That's all very balsamic moon phase. It's all very natural cycles of life, natural emotions and feelings. This is the time to feel them, And then we're going to have the new moon of Aquarius, and that's going to be Saturday at 10:28 a.m. And that is really what is the start of the new year. That is like really when January 2023 kicks off, when 2023 kicks off, and this is a good time to set intentions for whatever we want to manifest, particularly in the house that Aquarius rules in our chart. But Aquarian themes in general are very supported. Humanitarian ideals, community, the tribe, what's best for the whole. Aquarius also rules science. It rules inventions, and it's really great for zooming out and looking at things from the bird's eye perspective. And Aquarius is really about like concepts and ideas. And the Aquarius area of our chart is a very important area because it's going to be taking on a lot of focus in the next couple of decades of our lives, wherever that is in your chart. It's a great time to get to know your chart because there are some big shifts happening to a brand new kind of like era that we're entering, and it would be good to understand how you energetically line up with the era we're entering and kind of what the cosmic assignment is for your personal astrological coding in this new era. And then, oh yes, Uranus goes direct on Sunday at 14 degrees. So if you have any planets at 14 or 15 degrees or in that area, there could be a big plot twist, a big unexpected twist in events on Sunday. Possibly a shakeup, possibly something that involves rebellion or defiance, possibly just a revelation, a sudden insight. But it could be something that is very liberating yet surprising. Things like that are really characteristic of Uranus going direct. Sometimes it can bring like literal earthquakes, but it can bring also more metaphorical earthquakes. And then Jupiter in Aries is, just waiting at the gate to bust out with all of this really rapid expansion and growth. He's kind of been held back at the gate by Mercury and Mars both being retrograde since the beginning of this year. But as the gates go up, Jupiter is about to just bust out, and he is like red hot, flaming expansion, growth, very fiery, very passionate, very hot. So there is that. But yeah, he is just ready to move forward. It's like something is spreading like wildfire, a big announcement, a big news, a big bold new start, big decisions needing to be made very, very rapidly. That's the kind of energy coming up as soon as, February to May, really. And then, those are kind of like what's going on now. Wow, I can't even believe it's already 12 minutes. Okay, I did my best to keep it shorter. Let's see if Instagram will let me upload this. Okay, talk to you soon. Hit the contact button underneath my profile bio to contact me for your own personal reading. Bye.